Hey, welcome back. This is a video, kind of a follow-up to the last one where we went over all of the properties in Notion. Here, we're going to be going over all of the databases in Notion. I'm not going to go incredibly in-depth with all of them because they all deserve their own videos because you can do so many different things with them, but I'll go over the general things. Might be another 40-minute one because although there's many less databases, there are a lot more options, and obviously Notion is built on these databases. So what we can do in Notion is mostly based on utilizing, and just abusing these databases to the highest extent possible. So again, timestamps in the description, and hopefully YouTube does its thing. Here's the screen. Here's some bullet lists in nice colors about what we'll be going over. We'll just simple. Oh, does it not want to? Oh, it's table now. This is the simple table. We're just gonna jump right here. You can add rows, you can add columns, and as you can see, it's kind of like a spreadsheet. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then if I hit tab, I can go left or I can go right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 5 there too. What can you do? We can fit table to page width, which we'll just extend it. I don't have a full width table or a full width page here. We can do that though. If I double tap these things, it will shrink it to the size of this. So if I make this longer, I say 3, and I double click on it, we'll just go to that 3. This is normal. You can see this in Excel and Google Sheets and whatnot. And so you can also add a header column and a row column, which will just shade these in a little bit to make it different. We can separate their like titles now, you get the point. There's only so much to do with this one. And you can go ahead and we can pick that and you can color them. So you can either color the text there, or you can do a nice highlight here, and that will color that. There we go. Very, very fun stuff. Honestly, insert left, insert right, insert a column at the left. Controller Command Z to undo, by the way. Very useful. Insert to the right. And then that's not what I wanted. Control Z, not Command A. If we hit this one, we can do above or below. And the color's the same. Yeah, these are the rows, these are the columns. This is a simple table, pretty cool. We're gonna move on, and that brings us to if I do table now, there's table view. There we go. That's what we want. We want table view rather than table, and that's because every database in Notion, you can make it its own. So I just made a table here, or we can do board, which we'll cover later. But there's a new database. This one was also selected data source. I think the selected data source thing is ambivalent. I think it has its uses, but most of the time I'd probably never use it. Not the biggest fan of that change, but you know what, we'll take it. It is what it is, and it doesn't really change too much, just one extra button press. Sometimes it can get, if you have many other databases, sometimes it'll start trying to pull and you can mess up something, but it just, don't go too in a rush and you'll probably be okay. Anyways, you can make separate databases here, or we can go ahead, delete one. We're going to select it like that and then hit backspace or delete. And then what we can do, instead of just adding a new one, we can go here to add view, and then we can go to board and then done. And now we have a board version of our table, and we'll go over that a little bit more as we move on to other ones. But we're going to start with the table, and this is definitely one that I absolutely will make a video by itself on. The table is probably the most useful staple in Notion, and so this table, it does all the things. You can have properties, all the properties that we went over in the last video, you can have them for any database, but the table database is really where you're going to see these properties and where they're going to be shown off and work. Like the formula property, for example, you could put it into any of them and you can see it if you really want to, but it looks the best and is the most intuitive, and I would say that is mostly made for the table database. And the table database is, well, a table. Think of the simple table, but not simple. There's the title, right? So 1, not tab, enter to go down. 1, 2, 3. And then there's tags, which we went over. We already know what this is. 1, 2, 3. And then we can add nice rows to this with all different properties. Going over the properties actually makes this a lot quicker. Tables are just tables of different properties, and those properties can interact with each other. And then tables, as well as all of the other ones, they have 2 other things that we need to go over, which applies to every database. One is filter, and one is sort. And so we'll do the 2 here, and we'll do 3 here, and we'll make up here. Let's actually change this into a checkbox, which makes it a bit more binary and makes it a lot easier. So we'll do a check there, and let's remove 2 there. I do not like these colors. Here, let's make this blue. That makes it look a lot nicer. I think. Very nice. Okay. And so what we can do is we can sort these. So we can sort them by name, ascending or descending. In this case, ascending is going to be alphabetical. Descending will be alphabetical reverse. And it just happens that 1, 2, and 3 are in alphabetical order. But if I wrote 0. Oh, 0. Z is the last letter, not the first letter. I'm just goodness great. What's is there a number that 100? There we go. Right, it'll pop up to the top because it's sorted by name, which is text. Text is just going to be sorted alphabetically. And then we can get rid of all of that. We can go to sort, and we can try sorting by this property. We can rename this to checkbox and get rid of that. Okay, so we can sort it by checkbox, and you can sort it by unchecked first. So if you have a to-do list and you want it, so when you check something off, it goes to the bottom. You can do that with this. You can make it descending, where if you check it, it goes to the top. There's also, you can sort by tags, of course. Tags. Ascending, that's going to do the tags in alphabetical order. Ascending or descending, and that's how the tags will be sorted. What we can also do with the sort is we can have multiple sorts in tandem. So we can make a sort here for the tags, which gives us, the thing we saw earlier, and I changed this to A, B, C, B, C, just to get them going. This B2 one doesn't matter as much, but we'll use it later. Tags, and then we can also sort it by the checkbox and make that ascending. So what happens is, as you can see, A, B, and B here, they both have 2. But if I checkbox this A, B, it'll go under the B. It won't go all the way to the bottom because it still has that 2 property, and we're filtering by both of them. But we can add these complicated sorts, and you can keep going with these. If I added more properties, I can keep sorting them, and you can go very crazy with these sorts. And what sorts do, again, is they just change the order that things are shown on the database. We can name this database. Pretty good name. And then we can go ahead and go over filters too. So sort changes how you see things in the database. How? And then filter will change what you see in the database. So if I say a filter, I want to filter by tags. I can add a filter where the tag either contains, does not contain, is empty, or is not empty for tags. And so we're going to keep contains. I want it to contain 2. And if I add that, what happens is that I can only see those with 2. So this one has 1 and 2, but since it has 2 as well, it will show up. Then we can add more here. So I can do 2, 1. So it has 1 or 2. This is an or statement. And so it'll show anything that has a 1 or a 2. So if I make a new one here, it'll automatically add the 2. Let's just do 1. Get rid of that. 1. And so 1 will show up as well. It's not going to be an and, but we can do an and. So if I go here, go to filter, what that's going to be, filter, delete filter. what we're going to do is add an advanced filter, and this will let us do some basic Boolean. So we can do tags contains 1, and then add a filter rule, and tags contains 2. And what that will do for us is show us, hold on, that one should not be showing up, where tags contains 2 and tags contains 1, 2. Whoopsies, there we go. Okay, there we go. So there, where it contains 1 and it contains 2. You can add another one, which will add a, you can keep going with this and. Can we change it to an or is that just going to be create a filter group around this? You can keep nesting this. This is wild. I don't know why you'd ever want to nest like 7 of them into each other, but you could do that. Let's say add, this is one of the reasons that going over the table would take its own thing. This filter group thing is going to go a lot. But there you go. There we can change and to or. This is its own filter group. You can add another group, and then I can add another rule, and that'll let me change the and again. That's why we add the groups versus the normal ones. But again, that's a lot. So this is what filter does. It changes what we see in the database. We'll remove that again. So now I changed it to or. So now it's 1 or 2. So if it has either of them, it will show up. But as you can see, 3 is just gone. And then we can add another filter. So we can add a filter rule where checkboxes. This is my bad. Hold on. We're just going to have to start over. Add advanced filter where add a filter group. I want this one to be gone. Where to do tags contains. I said 1 and add 1 here, or it contains 2, remove that, and then add another rule and checkbox is checked. And so there we go. That'll show us something that has all of those. And if I hit new while the filter is active, it will automatically, this is an or statement, so this is going to be a bit random whether it pops out a 1 or a 2 for the tags, but it will automatically check that checkbox and make a new item in the list that has either 1 or 2. If I keep hitting this, will it just give me 1? Okay, maybe not random, maybe it's the second one, but then I can name them what I want. And you can also just make another, so we said earlier you can add a view, you can add another table view, and what you can do is you can check, say, done. And so if you have a to-do list, what we can do is we can add this filter right here and say is checked. So let's say that you have this table. Let's remove the filter here. You have this table, and then like say these are to-dos, like a to-do list. Then if you check something off, you can have it so this is actually what I do for my own to-do list is I have this, that's not what I want, unchecked. And so what we have is this list here that has unchecked checkboxes, and generally I guess you'd put them over here. You can shrink it if you want, but the moment I check them, so I'm done with the task, boom, it disappears, it's gone, but it's basically just archived into this done version, and I can select all of that and delete it, which is usually what I do, or you can uncheck all of these and it'll go right back on over to table. And so you can add multiple views of the same type, and so usually you're going to have multiple table views for one database because you just want to filter them differently, you want to view them differently, they have different data on them, and you'll just name those views something else. So we can rename this like to do, and this one is named done. And so, anyways, that was a lot of time on the table. Oh wait, the table can do one more thing, and that is grouping. We did filter, we did sort, we've already gone over properties. Load limit, you probably know what that means, right? How many items is it going to load? But what we can do is we can group it. Generally, you're going to group by, say, tags. And so then you have this really nice grouping, right? And so this is, it has 3, it has 2, has 1, or it has no tags. And we can do is go over to this, the filters, the unchecked thing. We can go over to the grouping, and we can order them, so we can do 1, 2, 3, because we want them to be in like number order for say, or we can like hide some of them, and you can remove the grouping, you can change what you're grouping by, but there's one hidden group, which is no tag, so maybe you don't want that to show. So for me, in my to-do list, I have a grouping on my table, which is the priority. So there's have to do, must do, should do, have time to do, in progress, and that's what I'll group my table by for my to-do list. Now we can delete all of that, all the work gone, and go ahead and open a list view. Go in and make a new database here, and the list view does not much. The list view is a list, right? So there's you can see that there's tables here. They gave me a create date there. You can sort it just the same. So here we're gonna need to press the 3 dots in order to make a new property. So we can add a new property here. We can say we can make it a select. Where is that? Select, and then add option. So add some stuff to the select. Oh, it disappeared on me. Properties S select, and then we can add an option. We'll say 1, 2, 3 again, and make this green, or yeah, blue is good. We'll do blue. 1, 2, and 3. And so have that, and so we can say show in list, or we can have not shown, right? So you saw that created date, that's how it'll show in the list. Where's the property? I want that created date to be gone. Let's do the tags, and so none of the tags are showing up, and that's because none of these have tags. So unlike the table where I can directly append a tag to an item right from there, for a list we're gonna have to go into the actual page, and we're gonna have to add the tag ourselves, which not tag, select. We're gonna have to select ourselves, and we can order this correctly here, 1, and then you can see it in the right corner here. So for a list, all of it will get appended to the right, all of the properties. Even if I add, say, a property here, we'll make a checkbox. Check, if I can type, and then checkbox. And yeah, it'll append to the right. So personally, I'm not too much a fan of this, especially the right thing. For some reason, my brain just works with a to-do list, has the checkboxes on the right side. And so that's kind of how I see it. But yeah, personally, I don't use the list view very much at all, to be honest. But edit database title, view database. Oh, that's as a full page. But this is the list. Honestly, it's not too complicated. You can use it if you'd like to. I think it has its perks somewhere, I'm sure. I just personally think that using the table is gonna do you more. Next is the board, which I think the board is really interesting, and I'd personally like to use this one more. And so generally, this is actually the template that it like spits out at you when you make a new board, is actually generally what you would want to see in a board, right? This is the most common use case that I could think of for a board. So say you have card 1, card 2, card 3, and so of course here we can add some more properties. You can assign the task. We'll get rid of that for now. We'll status. So status isn't shown, right? So I can't see the status in these cards right now. So if I move this to not started, I can see not started, but this is kind of redundant, right? So not started, why would I want to see that? And so that's why it starts off as hidden when Notion pops it out at you. And so we can make a nice little checkbox here, and that will show it all. Property, we can say done. That will be our checkbox. And what we can do, even though there's a completed thing here, but you know, it's okay. And what we can do here is, with that done, we can add a filter that we, again, like we did in the table, you can do this with the other databases as well, and we'll say unchecked. Because that means if I hit done here, boom, gone, disappeared. And I could add another, I could add a table view with this same data, and we'll just say table, and then we can filter this table with a done is checked. And now I can see what's checked, and there's the status there, but technically I guess it would turn to completed if you if you did that. I'm not sure if formulas can make a status. I think that would be really interesting, but to my findings so far, I haven't found an ability to do that. I know you can make a checkbox with the formula, but I don't know if you can make a status. You can make it produce a string and use that to filter probably, but the formulas are something I'm still getting into. Other than that, with the board, what we can do, so the board is based on grouping here, so you can actually subgroup these, so we can make it status as well, and that will give us a nice little checked and unchecked thing, or we can let's subgroup by name, or hold on, we can card 1, card 2. Goodness, that is hard to look at. Let's make that go away for now. Oh, hold on, remove grouping. We're gonna go here, go to properties, add a property, and we will add tags, and we'll call it, or we'll add it. We'll say classes, and we'll make it a tag. It would probably be a select, but we'll just make it a tag. And we'll say, what did I do last time? Bio, physics, math. Biophysics, math. And so I can add, say, classes here. I can add math. I can add physics. Where is physics? Not status, physics. And then, so the grouping, the main grouping is the started status, right? And so that's why you can see it split by that. And then we can come here and go to subgroup, and we can subgroup by classes. And so, so now we have, for math specifically, we have this task, and we can go to not started, or we can go to started. And yes, this can be a little bit busy. If you're not a fan of it, you don't have to do this. You can just keep the normal grouping and do no subgrouping at all, and that's fine too, because you can still see the class right, on the card. And the coolest thing about this board is this ability that we've shown a little bit to move it around. So I can move it from not started to completed, and that will automatically change this status property on the thing. So if you want to do some filtering or sorting based on that for like a table view somewhere else, then you can go ahead and do that. And so the board is mostly used for this Kanban sort of in progress, not started sort of thing. And the board is super useful for that. If you want to do that, if that's how you want to manage your task management, then, that's an option available to you. Next, we can go over the gallery. So I actually use this one a ton. If I can spell it right, okay, it spelled it right the first time. This is wild. So the gallery, what the gallery gives you is these little pages, and this is how I make my scripts for YouTube, how I make my scripts for my podcast, how I control a lot of my knowledge base. And so the gallery lets you just have a bunch of pages in a gallery, and it's really easy to click on, really easy to look at and read, and you can make it so we can add a cover here. Let's see, what does Notion give us? A fish. We'll take the fish, and we can go to our things. There's filter and sort. As we know, that's everywhere. Where's the layout? So we can come to layout, and we can see page content, so you can see what's in the page. So if I start writing stuff here, like there's one for heading 1. This is big. We'll do that. And so now you can see it. This is big. So that's the page content, right? And so if I come to layout and I do page cover instead, these don't have page covers, but this one does. So it shows me that little koi fish. So if you're making covers for all of your pages, so you could call this like art, for example. Then you'd see that, you could have a page cover for every different thing you add to the gallery. I add a bunch of things to the gallery, and sometimes I don't know what picture to put, so I usually do, instead of showing the card, I'll take the card size. You can make it massive and huge if you want to see a lot of the page content right from skimming it here in the normal view, or if you want to see that giant page cover of yours, you can reposition this cover too. There we go. This one's given to me by Notion, so I don't know how big this one's going to be. But what I usually do is I take the card size and I go ahead and make it small. And then because I like having more options available to me. And then you can show the database title there. I guess you can turn that on and off. A fit image, that will change the cover image. But for card preview, you can do page content, page cover, but you can also do none. And so for my knowledge bases, this is usually what I do. I just have all of these pages in a really nice looking way, and they're all just here. You can hit new to make a new one, click out of it, there it is. And that's how I do it. For my scripts, I do like to see what's in there, so I will go ahead and I'll have it set to page content, and I will keep those at medium so I can see a good chunk of the page content, but I don't need to see too much. I just kind of sometimes need to see how much is written there, how much is done, so I can go back and finish if I didn't finish that. But that's the gallery. I think this is super cool. You can move these around, shuffle them as you'd like, or you can sort them, of course, have it shuffle by itself. But we will go ahead and you can lock databases too if that's important to you. Then you can't touch them, and that's what locking would do. Open it as a page, open it in a new window. Yeah, there's some basic things there. Next is the calendar. I think everyone knows what a calendar is. So in the calendar, we can hit this plus sign to add an item. We can say item 1. And tags will say yes. And so there you go, item 1, and you can't see the tag, but we can fix that quickly by coming here, and you see hidden calendar, and what we can do is just tags. Now we see the yes right there. And that's pretty fun. And you can filter and sort these as well, and they'll sort in the day, I'm assuming. So here, let's go ahead and add one here. We'll say item 2. Give it a tag no. And if I go ahead and here to sort, I'm assuming that if I hit name, yeah, it just stays in the day. So it'll sort by day. And this is kind of cool. I think you can also go ahead and we can come here to properties again. We can add another done property with a checkbox. There we go. And you can click it right from there. Very nice. And that done is labeled. I wonder if it's possible to... no, I'm pretty sure you can. Here, we can give it a shot. Let's see if we can unname the done so it doesn't show up and it's just a checkbox. Oh, we can. That's awesome. There, now it's just a checkbox. And what you can do is you can take it, move it up, right? So it's on top. And then I think you're always going to have to show the name, so you can't make that name go away. And that kind of makes sense. But for the calendar, we can show calendar by date or search for a property. I wonder what other... Yeah, because that would be a board. There's probably a... Let's see what properties we have. Let's add a date sort of property. Can we do created time? Come to properties here, layout, and by we can sort it. We can have it by show calendar by the property, or which is the created time that we made. I probably should have titled that one, or we can just have it by date, and this default is probably what you're gonna have it as, but you can change that if you want to. And I think show data. You can. Oh no, that's just the database title that you can click on and off for all of them. But yeah, this is a calendar. You can go ahead and drag and drop these to different days as well if like a task changes a date. I think we can also, so we can actually add a date to this, and we can just include an end date, right? So I can say that this starts on June 7th and ends on June 10th or June 9th. I misclicked there. We're gonna delete this property. And then what happens is it stretches it. I think, if I'm not wrong, you can also stretch it yourself. With this, you can go to the end of it, and you'll see this little arrow pops up on my thing, right? And there you go. You can change it. I'm not sure if you can change the month and stuff. I'm not sure if you can actually change the calendar type. So like I start my weeks on Monday. I'm not sure if we can. We can't view it that way from what I'm seeing here. So as the calendar. Very, very fun. You can move it around to a different day and it'll carry over all of that. And so for projects that are multiple days long, you can have this long fun project. I think we can keep going actually. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, this is great. No. Yeah, you can just have this week and a half long project here. The next one and the last one is actually made specifically for projects, and that's our timeline view. And so the timeline view is, it's a timeline. Here we'll label our database for the first time in forever. So you can do it by months, bi-weekly, week, day. You can even go down to hours. And we're going to go back to month. And so this lets you, let's say this is task 1. And so you could also do a roll up, and here you can see the date. They already include an end time, right? That's why it's stretched. You can assign it. There's a status, not started, in progress. We can give it a in progress here. And we can also go ahead and come to timeline. Let's see what we can sort it by the date, which would, you know, the created time and stuff. You could probably do that. Show table, which that's a nice little thing there. Hide table, show table. Oh, that's fun. You can calculate how many stuff is in there if you want to see how many tasks you got going. If you have a big table. Table properties here, so we can show the status if we want to in the table. So we can shrink this, and that'll give us a miniature table next to it. Or I'm gonna go ahead and hide this table and then go to the normal properties, and then we can show the status, and now you can see it right next to it. You can extend this and shrink this at will here, and you can move it around up, down, left, right, and yeah. So that's the timeline. So if you have a task, it'll take this long to do. You have task 2, and then it'll take a bit longer to do, maybe over here. Task 3 here, we can not name it, but there you go. There's task 3, and you can change your today and August, you know, change your days. But yeah, that's the timeline, right? And so that's pretty good. I don't use this one too much, and if I'm not wrong, in the free plan, so if you're a student, Notion offers a free personal pro plan. Just use your edu account. So I'm on my edu account right now, so I can make as many, but I think you can only make 3 of these tables, or 3 of these timeline views, unless they've changed that. When they first released it, it was 3 if you're on the free plan for Notion. And then we can also, that's all the databases. But there's also the linked one. So if you remember you can link to a page, but we're going to link to a database, link to Untitled. So this is the gallery database I made earlier that I deleted. So it's gone now, but I can still link to it. So if I made a change on this one, it would make a change on the gallery database. And I go over this in much more detail in my how to make a master list in Notion video a few months ago now. So if you're interested in learning about linked databases, I would recommend that you go check out that video instead. So I'm not going to actually go over linked databases that much, but that is all of the databases in Notion. We can inline table again. And remember that we can add a board view here. We'll name the view board. We'll add a timeline here, add a calendar here. And this is a calendar. I very rarely spell that correctly. We'll add something in the calendar, and here's the date, right? And then I'm gonna take it, grab it, and I'll extend it. We'll call this task 1. And so this is task 1 from June. This is from August. We can move it here. So June 5th to June 8th. And now if we look at the timeline, there it is, task 1, June 5th to June 8th. And then it's on the board as well. It doesn't have any tags. I didn't add anything, and it's grouping by tags, but we could add a new group of what tag would we want to add? Let's do the in progress. That's the one they gave us. So we can do in progress. We can throw it in there. It's in the timeline here. We can show the properties, show the tags, and that tag will carry over in all of the other databases here in the table as well. Here you can see it. We can move this to the top, and these are in one way separate from each other. So let's say I filter this and I say tag doesn't contain in progress, right? So that makes it disappear from this table, but it's still in the board because that filter doesn't apply to the board. And so we can also apply a sort here. So if I added task 2 A, and then I added task 2 B, if I filter that, or if I sort that by, let's select both of these, move them here. So if I sort that by name here, by name, ascending, A and B should be, you know, above each other. But here in the timeline, that oh, it is very tiny. Oh, because the reason it's not showing up in the timeline is because it doesn't have a date attached to it. So let's say today, and then we're gonna have to add an end date here. Just we'll say Saturday there, and then task 2B. Let's come here. We'll do there to there, and now it will show up in the timeline. There we go. So now it's in the timeline. There's a nice fun thing, but as you can see, the sort isn't applied here, and you can just see that because it's not blue. If there's a sort, you'll see a blue. If there's a filter, you'll see it blue. In the timeline, however, there's no sort, so I can go ahead and move this right as I want to, up and down. But on the board, if I try to do that, if I take this and I do that, it will not let me, right? And so one thing you can do, or one thing it'll do if you have a grouping available. So let's come here, let's take the filter and remove that. Then we go to group, we'll say group by tag. And then we'll sort it by name. All right, if I take one of these and I move it, it will ask me to remove the sorting. But again, that doesn't affect these, so we can go ahead and do that. I'm surprised the board doesn't even ask you to remove the sorting; it just won't let you move it at all, which is pretty funny. But yeah, and then there it is, all in the calendar as well. And so this, when you add views to a database, all that does is it takes the data that's in the database and it shows it to you in a different way, and you can edit how it's shown using the filters and the sorts based on those different views. And like I said, you can add another board to this that shows you something else if you want to. So we can call this, we can't call it board because I think it'll error me, but because we already have a board. But board 2, we can add another, add a view here. We can add another table 2, and that will, you know, we can keep adding tables, keep adding boards, and you know, there's no limit here. And so that's something that can be used to see your data in a lot of different ways and manage it in a lot of different ways and play with it in many different ways. I find that to be very useful. I generally put multiple views on databases. Sometimes I'll never use them, but I think it's nice to have, if nothing else. It doesn't take very long, like I just showed. It's like 2 buttons. That are all the databases in the Notion. At least for now, as of the moment of making this video. I'm sure that they're working on a ton of other things, and we'll see other things. That simple table, that one came out relatively recently. Can I go to a corner and, oh, there we go. Yeah, look at that. Ooh, this is good. But yeah, that's all the databases in Notion. This video is already incredibly long, so we're gonna cut it here. Thank you so much for watching this one. If you are new to Notion, if you're looking at databases, maybe go check out the property video, which will take you through all the properties. And so in terms of sorting and filtering, you'll know which properties you want to use and what you want to sort and filter by if you haven't seen that already. Also, if you're a little bit more advanced, you can go look at the master list tutorial in Notion that I made a couple months ago. That was pretty good, and that's useful, and I use that a lot for tracking finances and whatnot. Much love. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next one, probably back to our regularly scheduled talking head video in next week, hopefully. Hopefully I will have time for that. But yeah, anyways, peace.